Incredible dog uncovers hidden danger in wedding cake. Barking to save 100+ guests from disaster. Marissa Thompson felt the weight of the world on her shoulders as she zipped up her mother's vintage wedding dress, a cherished remnant of days gone by. The annual wedding fair wasn't just a local event. It was the heartbeat of their small town. And this year it meant even more, especially with her father battling his declining health. Memories of laughter, joy, and dreams danced in her mind as she adjusted the delicate lace sleeves, her heart swelling with nostalgia. But amid the twinkling lights and floral arrangements lay an uglier truth. The chatter of excited townsfolk filled the air outside, the usual buzz about the new flowers and gowns. Yet, there was a nagging discomfort inside Marissa, something deeper than her father's illness or the family's financial worries. She took a deep breath, steadied herself, and glanced over at Scout, her loyal golden retriever. He was acting odd. The moment she noticed him sniffing frantically at the cake table, Marissa's stomach dropped. It wasn't just any cake, it was the centerpiece of the entire event, crafted by the town's famous baker, who had won blue ribbons for years. Fidgeting guests looked on with puzzled expressions, but Scout didn't care about their bewilderment. He barked insistently, drawing attention, tension crackling like static in the air. Marissa's heart raced as unease settled in the pit of her stomach. "What's wrong, boy?" she whispered, kneeling beside him. As if in response, Scout pawed at the cake and growled softly. The sounds of music and laughter faded away, leaving only the heartbeat of a ticking clock. Marissa felt that familiar rush of determination coursing through her veins, akin to the way her father would have stood tall against adversity. But what lay beneath the icing of that beautiful cake held dangers she could not see. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Marissa couldn't shake off the feeling of impending disaster. What if something was in that cake? Panic tightened her chest, and for a moment, she hesitated. But then she remembered her community, the friends, neighbors, and families who all depended on this fair, as a symbol of hope and togetherness. She stood, heart pounding, ready to confront the baker. The truth began to unravel, revealing not just a personal betrayal by someone she had trusted, but a larger crisis that connected to the economic hardships facing them all. Marissa's heart ached as she grappled with the larger injustice that crept into view. Could she challenge a friend, risk ruining the fair, and bear the brunt of judgment from the townsfolk? A fierce wave of anger and love surged within her, igniting the fire of determination. As Scout glanced up at her with unwavering loyalty, she could almost hear her father's voice echoing in her mind. Stand up for what's right. The fair was just around the corner. The culmination of dreams, resilience, and connection hung in the balance. Could she summon the strength to confront the truth? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the bustling venue, Marissa realized that the battle for justice was just beginning. Would she be able to save her friends and her family's legacy before it was too late? Marissa took a deep breath, her pulse racing in sync with the instinctive tension radiating from Scout. Would the moment she hesitated become the moment everything changed? She felt drawn to the cake, an ominous beacon wrapped in layers of frosting and sprinkles. The familiar scent of vanilla mixed with something bitter hinted at the secrets beneath the sweet surface. "Stay here, boy," she instructed Scout, rising to approach the cake table. Every step felt like a march toward an unknown battlefield. The crowd's chatter grew dim as she got closer, the excitement fading as they noticed her focus on the baking marvel. Whispers circulated, eyes widening as she knelt before the cake once more. "Is everything okay?" asked Sarah, the baker and her childhood friend, her voice unsteady with concern. "I mean, I've never seen Scout act this way." Marissa's throat felt tight, Her heart screamed to protect her community, but the weight of the truth knotted her stomach. Something just doesn't feel right, Sarah. Can we look inside? What? This cake? Sarah's disbelief was palpable. It's perfect. I've worked on it for weeks. Please, Marissa pressed, her urgency spilling over like a pot left too long on the stove. The spectators shifted nervously, lingering on the edge of drama. But Marissa could see their growing curiosity morph into dread. The corners of Sarah's mouth turned downward, an internal conflict evident in her eyes. I don't understand. What's wrong? Scout 1T stopped barking. He could sense something, Marissa implored, her voice softening. Could be a health hazard. For everyone. The words hung in the air. Sarah frowned, looking between Marissa and the cake, her protective instincts flaring. You're scaring me. You really think something's wrong? With every heartbeat, Marissa felt the stakes rise and found herself nodding. Can we check? The crowd was tightening around them, anticipation crackling in the air like electricity. Marissa looked to the guests, hoping for understanding in their eyes. While the bakery was a staple of their town, she couldn't ignore what her gut was screaming. She needed to know the truth. Sarah hesitated, a flicker of doubt crossing her features, but finally relented and nodded. All right, let us just take a look, she mumbled, kneeling beside Marissa. The atmosphere grew heavier as the two of them carefully lifted the edge of the decorative confection. As they peeled back the frosting, the sweet scent mingled with something foul, wafting like a dark cloud hovering over their heads. The crowd gasped collectively, and Marissa's stomach churned as she scrutinized the insides. What lay beneath the layer of sugar was astonishing and terrifying, an array of rapidly spoiling ingredients mixed together, clearly a sign of negligence. Marissa's heart sank as it dawned on her. This wasn't an accident. It felt intentional, a tragic mix of carelessness that could lead to disaster for everyone present. She turned to Sarah, whose face had gone white. Why? Marissa whispered, horrified. I don't know. I really don't know. Sarah stammered, both shock and remorse flickering in her eyes. I just wanted to make it perfect. I swear I didn't know. The crowd murmured in disbelief, tension soaring as they realized the threat looming over their joyous celebration. Marissa's heartbeat thundered, and she knew this moment changed everything. Her community's trust hung in the balance alongside their safety. An unsettling silence filled the air, thick and heavy with anxiety. As Marissa looked at the anxious faces surrounding her, a single thought loomed ominously in her mind. What if the truth of this cake was only the beginning? And in that moment, she understood that she was choosing more than just to expose a flawed cake. She was standing up to a bigger threat that had slithered into her town. Would she find the strength to confront the unseen forces around her before it was too late? The crowd moved like a tide poised to crash, tension and fear rippling through everyone present. Marissa could feel eyes boring into her back, filled with a mix of concern and suspicion. She took a deep breath, trying to focus on Sarah, whose expression had shifted from confusion to sheer panic. Marissa, what do we do now? Sarah's voice trembled as she glanced from the ruined cake to the faces of their friends and neighbors. The whispering grew louder as people began to piece together the significance of what they'd just seen. We need to remove the cake, Marissa said, the urgency in her voice clear. If it's been tampered with, we can't let anyone eat it. Not one person. But everyone was looking forward to this. It's the centerpiece of our celebration, Sarah protested. Her hands trembled slightly as if they were still trying to wrap around the idea that something so familiar and beloved could harbor danger. Better to disappoint now than risk someone's health. There's more at stake than just a cake, Sarah. We can't ignore this. Not when lives could be at risk, Marissa replied, her voice steadier than she felt. Around them, the chatter intensified, eyes darting back and forth, whispering fears of contamination, of intentions gone awry. Behind her, Marissa sensed Scout bristle and growl softly, as if sensing the energy of the mounting dread. She knew she had to act. Listen up. She raised her voice, cutting through the growing noise. I know this is shocking, but we need to clear this area. We have to call the health department and we need to get this cake out of here. It's unsafe, and I won't let it put anyone in danger." Surprisingly, a few supportive nods came from the crowd. Marissa felt a rush of gratitude for her neighbors, people she laughed and shared holidays with. But there were also frowns, and frightened whispers rustled like leaves caught in a storm. "Do we really believe that Sarah would sabotage the cake?" "She's not the kind of person," a voice broke into her thoughts, a skeptical tone that underscored the gravity of their small-town connections. Marissa turned towards it, a piercing gaze. "None of us want to believe that, but the ingredients are bad. This isn't about Sarah, it's about everyone's safety," she replied fiercely. "If we don't act quickly, we might have to face the consequences later. Don't forget, we're a community that looks out for one another." Marissa felt the room shift, uncertainty gradually giving way to agreement as murmurs filled the air. She could see Sarah grappling with the intensity of the moment, her friend visibly shaken. But a small spark began to flicker in her eyes, a resolve starting to form amidst the tumult. Suddenly, from the back of the crowd, a man stepped forward. It was David, a local grocer known for his large heart and unwavering demeanor. What if someone did this on purpose? He posed, his face shadowed by worry. The question sent shivers down Marissa's spine. This isn't just negligence. It could be a deliberate act. We need to find out who's behind it. The implications of David's words settled like lead in her stomach. This cake was only a symptom. If something malicious was at play, they were all in danger. "Then we have to investigate," Marissa said, the echo of resolve lacing her voice. "We must find the truth." As she looked around, she saw the mixture of fear and determination reflected back. Was this what it took to forge a stronger bond in their community? Would they rally together in the face of such uncertainty? But more importantly, who would dare to betray their trust like this in the first place? Marissa's heart raced again, not just from fear but from a furious sense of purpose. They had to get to the bottom of this because the danger lurking in their community wasn't going to reveal itself easily. And as she turned to scout, she realized her loyal companion was just as determined. Together they would uncover the truth, whatever darkness might lie ahead. But as Marissa stepped forward, ready to confront the next challenge, a chilling thought crept in. What if the cake was only the first target in a much larger scheme? Marissa felt sweat trickling down the back of her neck. The crowd's unease shifted like a living thing, and she couldn't shake the feeling that eyes lingered too long on her back. Sarah stood beside her, visibly trembling, slowly gathering her composure as the shock wore off. "We need a plan, Marissa. If someone wants to harm our community, they won't stop with just the cake." Sarah's voice was steadier now, but the fear still flickered in her eyes. Marissa nodded, adrenaline pumping through her veins. "You're right. We have to figure out who could do something like this, and why." She scanned the sea of faces, friends, neighbors, people who had shared laughter and food, and now were bound by a shared fear. David stepped forward again, tightening his hands into fists. "I know everyone loves Sarah, but maybe we should question all the vendors who worked on the cake. The baker, the florist, anyone who was part of the setup. They might know something." Marissa could sense the conversation buzzing around her. The crowd began mixing in whispers of agreement. "Good idea," Marissa said. Each word was a small step toward regaining control. "Let's inspect the remains of the cake first. Maybe we can find something hidden, something that will point us in the right direction." Scout wagged his tail and let out a low bark, as if urging them on. Marissa knelt beside her dog, ruffling his fur. He was her strength, her shadow, and now, her ally in uncovering the truth. They pushed through the crowd, and as they approached the remnants of the cake, a mangled mess of fondant and shattered dreams, Marissa's heart raced. What if this was planned? Every inch of her wanted to dismiss that thought, yet fear reared its ugly head, taunting her. "Be careful," Sarah warned softly. "What if there's something dangerous in there? Then we'll be careful. But it's our only lead." Marissa gently moved the larger pieces aside, revealing the dull surface beneath. Bits of frosting scattered like confetti after a storm. Time slowed as she combed through the remains. Her fingers brushed against something hard, unusual. She grabbed it, pulling it into view. It was a small vial, dark and ominous, half buried in the cake's center. The crowd gasped, a collective intake of breath echoing in the tense atmosphere. "What is that?" Sarah asked, recoiling slightly as a tremor ran through her. Marissa held the vial up, the plastic glinting suspiciously in the sunlight. It felt heavy in her hand, as if it held secrets inside. "I don't know, but we'll find out. This could be the evidence we need." An array of expressions fanned out across the crowd: curiosity, fear, and a glimmer of hope. David, stepping closer, scrutinized the vial alongside her. "Let us take it to the authorities. They'll know what to do." Marissa swallowed hard. "We need to take photos first, document everything. If someone had sinister plans, we can't let them cover it up." But before they could put the plan into action, a rising commotion erupted. Voices rose, and Marissa's heart sank when she caught snippets of conversation, a panicked neighbor shouting about someone who had fled the scene. "Who?" Marissa demanded, her pulse quickening. "I saw someone lurking near the cake before everything went down," a woman called out, her voice frantic. They slipped into the crowd and disappeared. Anger and determination coursed through Marissa. The trail had just gotten hotter. Someone had been waiting for the perfect moment, and now they were on the run. Scout growled low again, as if sensing the impending danger. "We can't let them get away," Marissa declared, adrenaline surging. "Let us regroup, spread out. We have to find out who it was." As murmurs rippled through the crowd, her heart thundered in her chest. Would they stand together against this threat? And more importantly, would they uncover the truth before it was too late? A chill ran down her spine as she realized this investigation was only beginning. She had to uncover the identity behind the chaos. But as she stepped into the unfolding mystery, a wild thought struck her. What if saving the community only led them deeper into danger? Panic spread through the crowd like wildfire. Marissa's heart thudded in her chest as the urgency gripped her. People began shifting, eyes darting, confusion and fear palpable. She glanced at Sarah, who had frozen, her hands shaking at her sides. "Stay close," Marissa urged, her protective instincts kicking in. "We can't lose sight of each other." David rallied the group, his voice booming above the chaos. "We need to form teams. Split up, but stay alert. This isn't just about finding whoever did this. We need to make sure everyone is safe." Marissa nodded, rallying her thoughts. She turned toward Scout, who was still on high alert. "Let us check the area around the cake and see if we can catch a scent," she whispered, though the crowd's commotion was deafening. As they moved, Marissa scanned each face in the crowd, searching for someone who looked out of place. She couldn't shake the feeling that the culprit was still nearby, hidden among familiar faces. The sun blazed overhead, but the chill of dread settled deep within her. "Over there," David called, pointing towards a group of people standing near a new vendor booth, their eyes wide. A moment later, a figure slipped behind the booth, disappearing from sight. "Follow me," Marissa shouted, sprinting toward the booth. Scout raced alongside her, his keen senses working. They weaved through agitated festival-goers, hearts pounding in synchronicity. "Stop!" she yelled, voice echoing as they reached the booth. Her mind raced with questions. Who was that? Why did they run? Marissa glanced at the vendor, a man with a nervous expression who swept his hands over a cluttered table of craft goods. "Did you see where he went?" she demanded. He just ran behind." The vendor stuttered, pointing nervously. "I don't know him. I swear." A flash of movement caught her eye, drawing her around the corner. In the alley behind the booth, she spotted a shadowy, retreating figure. Adrenaline surged once more. With a determined nod to Scout, they tore around the booth, ducking into the alley. The figure was fleeting, but they were gaining. "Stop!" Marissa shouted again, her breath coming in quick bursts. The figure swiveled and hesitated, a glimpse of shock dawning on their face. In that split second, Marissa recognized them. "Jake!" she called in disbelief. The community's once beloved handyman looked disheveled, panic flooding his features. Marissa, I didn't want it to come to this, he stammered, backing against the wall. His eyes darted, calculating his next move. I didn't mean for it to hurt anyone, I just stop right there. David's authoritative bark rang as he appeared at her side, breathless but ready. What happened? Why were you here? Please, I didn't want to hurt anyone. Jake's voice trembled, but it was too late for explanations. The evidence lay heavy in Marissa's other hand, the vial. The crowd began to spill into the alley behind them, drawn by the commotion. Murmurs thrummed through the air, echoing the fear that had gripped them since the chaos began. What do you mean, Jake? Marissa demanded firmly. Why were you near the cake? He hesitated, anguish flashing in his eyes. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I thought no one would get hurt. You have to believe me. A shudder ran through Marissa. Was Jake a victim too, or complicit in this scheme? As confusion clouded her thoughts, she felt the weight of the crowd pressing in behind them, a wave of collective anxiety transforming into silent tension. Tell us the truth, David shouted, fists clenching. Marissa's thoughts spiraled. What if saving their small town led them to uncover something even more sinister? Something buried deep within Jake's story. Would they unearth the reality of danger hidden in plain sight? The trail had taken a shocking twist. Their next move could change everything. The air crackled with tension as the crowd closed in. Marissa could feel the heat of their worried bodies pressing against her. She turned back to Jake, his expression teetering between desperation and fear. Just tell us what you did, David prodded, stepping closer, his tone demanding yet laced with genuine concern. Jake paused, looking between Marissa and David, as if weighing the consequences of his next words. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I thought it was just a prank. A prank? Marissa echoed incredulously, her voice a mix of disbelief and anger. You think putting something dangerous in the cake is funny? They were going to kick me out of the festival. The kids were throwing rocks at my truck, and I wanted to get back at them. But it went wrong. I didn't mean for anyone to eat it. His voice cracked, panic spilling into his words. Marissa's blood ran cold. What did you put in the cake, Jake? The chill swept through her, a bone-deep fear as the moments replayed in her mind, the cheering, the laughter, and now this. He ran a shaky hand through his hair, his eyes wide and glossy. I thought the powder would just make people feel a little sick. I didn't think anyone would actually eat it. I swear. I thought it would go unnoticed. Just to scare them, to make them think twice. Scout, the steadfast golden retriever, took a small step forward, sensing the unease. He let out a low growl, frustrated at the standoff, as if he understood the stakes. And you're telling me it was just a joke? Marissa pressed, her heart racing. You didn't think that could cause someone serious harm? I didn't know, he shouted, anguish breaking through his resolve. I was stupid. The murmuring crowd interrupted him when a woman rushed into the alley, clutching her stomach. I don't feel so good. Her face was pale, and her eyes darted nervously between the group and the cake booth. Gasps erupted as people around her began to comprehend the danger. Panic surged anew, a tidal wave crashing down. Call an ambulance, someone shouted, fear rippling through the onlookers. Marissa's instincts kicked in. We have to get her away from here. David nodded, his anger shifting to urgency. Let us move her. Together, they guided the woman to the entrance of the alley, the crowd parting as if they could sense the gravity of the situation. Jake! Marissa turned back to him, anger mingling with disbelief. You need to help us. There might be others affected. His face crumbled, guilt flooding his features. I didn't think it would go this far. Then think now. David barked, eyes narrowed. What else is in that cake? How many others could be in trouble? Jake swayed, the weight of their trust shattering like glass. I mixed in some other stuff. I didn't calculate how it would react together. Stop talking and show us. Marissa felt the urgency draining away as her heart raced. The crowd was growing. She could hear the sirens in the distance, the reality of their town's panic sinking in around her. "I can lead you to where I got the stuff," Jake stammered, pulling away from the wall as if the very act of moving could save him from the shadows of his actions. "But we need to hurry." Before she could respond, a voice pierced the cacophony. "What's going on here?" It was a local officer, eyes darting from Jake to the crowd, assessing the chaos of the moment. Marissa's heart sank again. They were running out of time. So much depended on them now. "Officer, we need to get to the cake. There may be people in danger from what he did." The officer stepped forward, narrowing his gaze. "Start talking, Jake. We don't have time for games." Would he cooperate? Could he reveal everything before it was too late? As they turned to follow Jake's lead into the murky unknown, Marissa could barely breathe, the burden of a town resting on their shoulders. Would they uncover more than they bargained for? The shadows of fear loomed closer as the sirens howled in the distance, leaving them to grapple with the truth hidden just out of reach. The air felt heavier as Marissa led the way, her heart hammering in her chest like a drum. Jake stumbled behind her and David, his earlier bravado evaporated. The officer stayed close, eyes sharp, like a hawk watching for any sign of danger. "Jake," Marissa called back, urgency lacing her voice, "you have to remember everything you mixed in. We can't risk anyone else getting hurt." Right, he stuttered, dragging his feet as if each step weighed him down with guilt. "I mixed in some cayenne pepper and a whole bunch of sleeping powder." "What kind of sleeping powder?" David snapped, exerting himself more to keep pace. "Was it something like diphenhydramine? Or something stronger?" Jake hesitated, his eyes wandering off as if trying to recall a lost memory. I think it was something over the counter." "I didn't think it would be that serious." His voice cracked, the fear spilling out in waves. Marissa could hardly bear to look back at him, torn between anger and compassion. He was a friend at one time, a guy who made bad decisions. But this was different. "We need to know now or lives could be at stake." "Here." Jake pointed suddenly, his voice shaking. "It was that convenience store. There's a whole aisle of stuff like that. You have to believe me. I swear I didn't want it to get this far." Marissa's stomach twisted. The noise of the crowd faded momentarily, drowned out by the thought of what just happened at the festival. This wasn't a prank. It was a disaster unfolding. "Don't stop. Keep moving." As they rounded the corner, the sound of the sirens grew closer. She hoped it was fast enough. Each second felt like a lifetime. The officer kept his hand on his radio. "Dispatch, we need an update on the medical teams. We may have multiple persons affected at the festival." Marissa's heart sank as they reached the store. "You, stay here," she told the officer. She shot a glance at Jake. "You go with him. I'll check for clues. I want to know exactly what was in that cake." The store smelled like cleaning products and sweat. She peered down the aisles, squinting at the shelf labels: anti-nausea drugs, painkillers, sleep aids. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, giving everything an otherworldly glow. Suddenly, she spotted a box on a high shelf tucked away in the corner. "There it is," she whispered. A heart-stopping mixture of fear and determination surged through her as she grabbed it. The box was labeled Sleepy Time Herbal Blend and marked with a bold danger: "Do not mix with other substances." She pulled it down, feeling a wave of nausea wash over her. If this was what Jake had used. Just then, the officer's voice rang behind her. "Marissa, we need to go now." She swung around, her pulse racing. "I found something. We need this." His face was pale, urgency spread across his features. "It's bad. We're evacuating the area. You can't stay here." Marissa hesitated, eyes darting back to the shelf. "But what if it's too late? We have no time. People are getting sick." He gestured frantically. The sounds of commotion pulled the store's energy, growing louder as people spilled into the aisle, fear written across their faces. "We're all at risk. We need to get to the patients." Gritting her teeth, she pocketed the box and rushed back to the group. Every second counted, but could they turn the tides before it was too late? As they raced against time, she felt the weight of so many lives in her hands. What would happen if they ran out of luck? Once they reached the festival site again, it would be a race for survival. Would she be able to make things right? Or was the town already too late in grasping the gravity of the situation? Marissa sprinted back to the group, each step echoing in her mind like a drumbeat of urgency. The officer was already barking orders, trying to manage the chaos spilling out of the store. She saw the crowd of people gathered outside, some doubled over, while others screamed for help. Panic rippled through them like a wave. "Get those people to safety," the officer shouted, pointing toward a clear area away from the store. Marissa could see them waving their hands, desperately calling out for loved ones. Jake clung to the officer's side, his expression pale and ghostly. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone," he whispered, guilt rolling off him in waves. "I know," Marissa assured him, her voice steady despite the turmoil surrounding them. "But we have to fix this. We can't let it get worse. So tell me everything. Right now." Trembling, he replied, I didn't mean to mix so much. It was just supposed to be a funny prank, funny?" Marissa challenged, anger seeping in. "You think this is funny? People are going to the hospital. If we don't act, we could lose lives." She felt a surge of determination. Placing a hand on his shoulder, she locked eyes with him, willing him to understand. "We need to work together. Focus. Look." She indicated back to the store. "What else was there? Anything else you remember?" A flicker of recognition crossed Jake's face. There were powders, and he hesitated, eyes darting like he was peeking into the past. "There was this one jar, something else, mixed in a jar. I think it was labeled dream dust or something. It was colorful, with lots of sparkles." Marissa arched an eyebrow. "Dream dust? What was in it?" "I don't know," he stammered. "But I saw it on TikTok. They said it was harmless. Stuff for parties, This was moving from bad to worse." Marissa felt the pressure of time closing in. "We have to find it," she said, determination fueling her words. "It might hold the key to understanding what's happening to everyone. Stay close but keep an eye out." With the officer signaling for evacuation, Marissa took a deep breath and led the way back toward the store. The commotion roared like a tempest, both in the crowd outside and behind the store's doors. Inside, the atmosphere was heavy, thick with uncertainty. She felt her heart racing in sync with the chaos outside. Dashing through the aisles, she spotted employees trying to calm customers, while others desperately made calls for help. "Marissa!" David shouted from the front, urgency threading through his voice. "We need you out here. They're not breathing right." Just then, a growl came from the back of the store, drawing her attention. A scruffy dog raced past her, darting toward the aisle she had just left. The officer, now looking confused, turned toward the sound and questioned, "What was that?" Marissa squinted just in time to see the dog, a mix of beagle and something else, zigzagging through shelves. It stopped suddenly in front of a box with bright lettering "Dream Dust. Party Enhancer." The dog barked furiously, drawing everyone's eyes. "Look," one of the employees exclaimed, drawing closer. "That's what he was mixing. I've seen people use it for parties. It's supposed to be harmless." "Let us hope it is," Marissa said under her breath, staring at the furry savior. "But time is running out." She motioned for the officer to grab the box. "We need this now." As the officer seized the box, Marissa felt a chill run down her spine. They had to get back to the festival before it took a darker turn. "Let us go," she shouted. Whispers of fear began to swell again from behind them. Could they really be too late? Or could the dog's instinct unravel the mystery just in time? With adrenaline surging through her, Marissa bolted out the door. Would they be able to save the festival before everything spiraled out of control? Marissa dashed into the daylight, her heart pounding wildly. The chaos of the crowd hit her like a wave, screams mixing with sirens. The officer clutched the box of dream dust tightly. She knew they had limited time. Each second felt like a ticking bomb. They hurried towards the open area where most people had gathered, some still on the ground, gasping for breath. Marissa's eyes locked onto familiar faces in the crowd. Friends. Family. She could see her younger sister, Emma, clutching the arm of a stranger, her face stricken with fear. "Emma!" Marissa shouted, weaving through the mass of bodies. "Stay with me." She didn't wait for a reply. Instead, she focused on getting closer, sensing the urgency with every step. "Marissa!" Emma was shaking, tears streaming down her cheeks. "What's happening? People are getting sick. I can't breathe." "Just breathe, Em. We'll fix this," she reassured her, but doubt churned in her stomach. She glanced back at the officer. "We need to check if whoever administered the dream dust was already at the festival." The officer nodded and stepped closer, glancing at a couple of uniforms who were handling the crowd. "I'll organize teams to see if we can identify them," he said, his voice steady but firm. But Marissa felt powerless. She leaned down beside Emma, taking her sister's hand in her own. "Remember that cake I said I saw? The one with the sparkly frosting?" Emma's eyes widened, flickering with connection. "The wedding cake. Someone's been serving it at the festival. What about it? Do you know who it came from?" Marissa's mind raced. If the dream dust had been sprinkled on top, Emma shook her head, confusion mixing with fear. "I just saw it when I was helping out with decorations, then we have to find the caterers and figure this out." Marissa sprang to her feet, determination surging through her. She turned to the officer. "There's a chance the dream dust is mixed into the cake. People are eating it right now." The officer didn't hesitate, signaling for reinforcements, his focus laser-sharp. "We'll get to the bottom of this. You stay with your sister," he ordered. But Marissa could feel a fire igniting within her. "No, I need to help. I can't just stand here while people are in trouble." The officer met her eyes, weighing the risk. "Then you have to be careful. Follow the others and tell them what you know." That was all she needed. Marissa took off again. Only this time Emma was at her side, a spark of courage glowing in her young eyes. "I want to help too," she insisted. "We can find whoever did this." "Okay." Marissa was resolute. They raced toward the festival grounds. As they approached the food area, the sense of baking bread and sweet frosting filled the air, clashing with the tension lacing the crowd. A sea of mismatched tents swayed under gray skies. Marissa's pulse quickened. They needed to find the right vendor before it was too late. "Look for anything that stands out, Em." Suddenly, a commotion erupted nearby. A vendor was shouting, pointing frantically at a young couple sneaking away with a half-eaten wedding cake. "They took my confection. Come back here." A wave of dread swept through Marissa. "That's it. They must have used the dream dust. Do you think they know?" Emma's voice trembled, the weight of uncertainty heavy between them. "They have to," Marissa said, her mind already racing ahead. They dashed toward the couple, but with every step, Marissa felt the gravity of the moment build. The festival had turned into a nightmare, and they had to uncover the truth fast. Could they catch the couple before the danger spread? Or would they be too late to save everyone? Marissa sprinted after the couple, her heart pounding with adrenaline. Her sister Emma matched her pace, determination shining in her eyes. They dodged bewildered festival goers, weaving between tents and stalls, urgency fueling their every step. "Stop!" Marissa shouted, breathless but resolute. The couple turned at the sound of her voice, their faces a mix of surprise and guilt. They clutched the remnants of the wedding cake like a trophy, frosting smeared on their hands, oblivion covering their expressions. "Why did you take that?" Emma asked, a tremor of fear creeping into her voice. The man, a scruffy young guy with a hesitant look, exchanged a glance with the girl beside him. "We thought it was funny. Just a little taste," he trailed off as realization hit them both. Marissa stepped closer, her voice steady but fierce. "You don't understand the danger. That cake is toxic. People are already getting sick because of it." Panic flickered in their eyes. The girl dropped her gaze to the ground, shifting nervously. "We didn't know, we just wanted to try something new. We thought it was harmless." "Harmless?" Marissa said, frustration boiling over. "People are getting hurt. You need to help us. Give it back." The couple hesitated, uncertainty crackling in the air like static electricity. They looked back at the mess in their hands, confusion visibly weighing them down. Okay, the girl finally said. We didn't mean to hurt anyone. We'll return it, we promise. Without waiting for a response, they dropped the cake and took off into the crowd. Marissa grabbed the remnants, adrenaline pushing her into action. What remained was a wreck of confection. But in the chaos, she sensed the urgency of time slipping away. "Emma, help me," she called, opening the remaining cake and scanning the interior. She had to find out if any traces of dream dust were left. With trembling fingers, she sifted through the sugary layers while the crowd swirled around them, whispers of concern buzzing through the air. Just then, David appeared from the crowd, his expression grim. "Marissa," he called as he rushed over. "Medical teams are on the way, but we need to identify everything now." Marissa met his gaze with fierce determination. "We found the couple. They took part of the cake. I think they were playing with something dangerous, trying to prank everyone. Did they mention what else was in it?" He pressed, urgency lacing his tone. "I didn't catch much." Just Marissa froze, realizing the deeper implications. If Jake had mixed dream dust into the cake, and that couple had gotten into it, God. "We have to warn everyone." David nodded, his face settling into steely resolve. "Let us get what we have to the medics now. Every second counts." In frantic movements, they gathered what remained of the cake and rushed back through the crowd. The weight of responsibility felt heavy, but they moved in sync, fueled by their love for each person present at the festival. As they reached the front lines, Marissa waved down the arriving medical team, explaining everything in rapid breaths. "It might have sleeping powder, cayenne pepper, and dream dust mixed together. We need to act quickly." The medics moved with precision, assessing the situation as Marissa handed over what remained of the cake. "This is the evidence. This is what they were eating." The lead medic, a woman with clear eyes and calm demeanor, took charge immediately. "Get that cake tested. We need to know how to treat those already affected. This could escalate quickly." Marissa's heart raced, worry and determination clashing inside her. They had thrown their town into chaos, and yet she felt a spark of hope igniting within her. They were taking action, moving toward recovery. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, a notification from Sarah, the cake baker. "Marissa, I'm so sorry. I just heard about Jake. Is everyone okay?" Marissa felt tears prickle at the corners of her eyes, relief washing over her as she typed a quick message back. "We're working on it. Stay safe. I'll fill you in as soon as I can." With the cake remnants being taken away, the medics began treating the panicked crowd. One by one, they directed people toward safety, and the vibes slowly shifted from sheer panic to a more unified front of people coming together. Hours later, as the sun began to set, the chaos finally began to settle into an uneasy calm. Everything was still raw, but a spirit of determination lingered in the air. Marissa stood at the edge of the fairgrounds, a sense of relief washing over her as she caught sight of her sister, who was helping distribute water bottles to festival goers. She looked strong, confident, and just a bit more grown up. Turning to Scout, who sat loyally by her side, she felt the warmth of unyielding love. "We did it, didn't we?" she whispered, feeling a tear escape down her cheek. In that moment, she realized something powerful a community could heal. They had faced a darkness together, and through it all, they remained united. They would rebuild stronger than before. Through heartache and chaos, hope had blossomed anew. As people began to gather to share their stories, share their gratitude, Marissa's chest expanded with a lightness she had feared lost. Her father would be proud. They had fought for what was right, and in doing so, they had honored their town's spirit. Don't wait too long. Your support is vital. You need to subscribe now to stay updated on these incredible stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to keep our community thriving. Comment your thoughts about the amazing transformation and courage shown in this story. And share instantly this story with at least 5 friends who could use this inspiration. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans know how important it is to rally behind our community.